Hello and welcome. This is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program, and today's fly is the Clouser Minnow. A group made it down to False Albacore Festival on the beach a couple weeks ago, and I didn't realize that we didn't have this fly in our library of how to do. So I'm gonna tie this fly for our veterans, so if they ever make it down to the beach and want to do some sound or surf fishing, this fly supposedly is the fly to do, to be fishing. We are using for thread flat nylon wax. We're using a Saltwater size 2 hook, and it's TMC 811S. We are using dumbbell eyes. We are using green bucktail. Chartreuse, sorry. And then we're using white. And then to add a little jazz in the tail, we're using some Crustal flash. Okay, so let's get started. And what we'll do is we'll start our thread. And what we want to do is we want to add our dumbbell eyes first. And essentially we're just adding this about eye length and a half behind the eye of the hook, because this fly has a almost like a pointed nose. It's representing a minnow, so it's got to have a head. So essentially what we're doing is we're just doing figure eights to lock this in. Make sure we're straight, and just do figure eights in between the dumbbell eyes to ensure that this is going to be locked in. Okay, so it's pretty much in a good spot. So now what I want to do is I want to come over and under. I want to go under the dumbbell eyes, but over the shank, and I want to do that on both sides. And what this will do is this will ensure that this will not move. Okay, and you can tell that that is really in there. Okay, and now we want to make sure that we are going in the correct directions that we like to tie. When you start doing figure eights and that kind of stuff and going under, you tend to lose where the which way you're wrapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the bucktail and grab the white, and we're going to do the top first. And we just want a little pinch. We don't need that much. So that looks pretty good. Essentially, this is what I'm going to be pinching out to tie this fly. Okay, what we want to do is we want to grab this and make sure we get all the small fibers and loose fibers out of this. Otherwise it could create havoc on us as we're trying to set this down. Okay, now after doing that, what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's flush. So we're just going to cut these fibers and make sure they're all even. And the reason you want to do this is because you don't want to have to be trimming this after we tie it in. So I'm going to bring the thread up, and we're going to tie this in over the eyes, and then I'm just going to drag this back and we are going to tie this down. We don't want to impede the eye, but we want to make sure it's really locked down. Okay, so now I'm going to come behind the eyes and cinch it down as well. And then we're just going to do loose wraps back, and kind of like on a diagonal. We're going to bring it all the way to the bend of the hook, and then we're going to come back just to secure that in. Alright. And that's looking good. I'm going to do it again. Looks like I got some popping up on me. There we go. And you just want to make it look fishy. Okay, so I'm going to come back, and now I'm really going to cinch this down. We're not impeding the eye of the hook. We're just going to lock this down really good. And you're going to have fibers coming out on you. Okay, and you can still come up and do some figure eights if you want. This is going to be, it's going to be, Sally Hansen's going to be added to it, so it's not going to be a vulnerable fly to where they're just going to tear it apart. Because most saltwater fish do have some very aggressive teeth to where they can beat up a fly pretty good. So I'm going to add some of this. Add it on the top. If you want to use UV, you're more than welcome to use that as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more wraps and just kind of make sure we're good and tight. And that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the vise and we're going to turn it upside down. We're going to adjust the fly. Alright, and this is where I want to add my crystal flash. Some people have you doing it in the white bucktail, some have you doing it in the Chartreuse. It's not green, it's Chartreuse. Sorry about the confusion. But essentially you can add it wherever you want. It's your fly, you're tying it. So I'm going to add mine. Make sure I get a good wrap, okay. Underneath. And I'm just going to do like so. And we'll bring it back. And I'm actually going to do some figure eights on the bottom to secure it. And just to lock it in. Okay, and that's good to go. And you can just see how that'll fill up the middle of the fly. Like so. So now what we want to do is we want to grab our green bucktail, and we're going to cut off about the same amount. And we want to clean out the short fibers so they don't wreak havoc on us later. Okay, and again what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to cut it flush. Oops, so. Camera dropped on me, sorry about that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tie this on the bottom. And you want to watch the hook point. And just make sure you're not impeding on the eye of the hook. So we're going to bring it back, and it looks like we're going to capture it pretty good. And mostly we're just trying to be able to add our tippet. So for the bottom, we are not bringing it back behind the hook. We're not bringing it behind the eyes, I'm sorry. We are essentially just tying this in nice and tight. Grab some of that Sally Hansen so we can secure it. Kind of gob it on there pretty good, because we're going to clinch it down with the wraps. So I want to make sure we got some good stuff in there. All right. So looking to make sure I can still put a tippet leader or whatever you're using, leader or tippet, to be able to get through the eye of the hook. So we're just going to wrap this around. Make sure it's nice and even. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it back around, and I'm going to drop it down. Whoops, we don't want that to happen. Got glue all over the place. Okay, so that's pretty much good where we want it. Looking nice. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to throw in some whip finishes. Still have the Sally Hansen on there drying. So just come over the top. And I like to do on big flies, I like to do several whip finishes so they can so it's going to be a nice nice knot. Kind of tight on that. Okay. Now let's get back here to the crystal flash. And remember that this is coming underneath, but I like to cut this, grab a couple, and cut them about the same size. There, and then grab a couple more, half of them, and cut them in different lengths. Sorry about the camera. It's not a very friendly position to be working on. And so here we are. We've got the Clouser Minnow. Let me grab this. And grab this flash, and we'll stick it underneath where it needs to be, like so. And so the Clouser Minnow. This is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will put the material list in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.